Hello, everybody, it's your friendly neighborhood INFP, and welcome back to another tier list. This time, we're going to be looking at which MBTI types are the best salesmen. Now, the reason why I'm doing this is because it is easy peasy, lemon squeezy type stuff to throw out there, and I guess a lot of people like tier lists, so, hey, you know what, it gives me time to figure some other stuff out, and why not, I suppose. Starting off the list, we're going to go with ESTPs. They are, I think, probably some of the greatest salespeople out there. They know how to read the room. They know how to read the people. They know how to read what people want. They're very good at getting to the core of things and selling and going through all of those areas. For example, I think Jordan Belford might be an ESTP. He seems like an ESTP. I would have to double check, but I'm pretty sure I'm right on that. So yeah, like a lot of ESTPs are just known to be extraordinarily good salespeople, and like if you meet a door-to-door salesperson, there's a good likely chance that it's probably going to be an ESTP. Moving on, the next person who I think would be a great salesperson is an ESFP. Reason being is they're friendly, they're energetic, they know people, they get to know people, they're at parties, they get excited about the product, or if it is a product they get very excited about, they very easily can convince you to get it. They're extremely personable, individualistic. They know how to get what they want. Gary Vee, to me, is an ESFP, and he's a great example of a good seller when it comes to that area. And there's like a bunch of other ESTPs out there that are really good at selling. And I think when it comes to like the game of selling and flipping and all of that, ESTPs and ESFPs, I think, are the reigning champions of it. Next up, we have, let's see here. Who would be, I think I'm going to put ESTJs up here for being good salespeople. They have a sense of drive. They know exactly what to get. They may not be as energetic or as go as ESTPs, but there's like a method to what they do, how they do it, when they do it, and they can study people just as well. They have that sense of status. These people might sell in a more unconventional way. They might sell more in a kind of Wall Street or stocks or day trading or within businesses or real estate. That's where I kind of see where these guys would be. So I think ESTJs are also one of the top sellers out there. They know how to get what they want, when they want, where they want, and that's where I would put them. For much the same reason, I would put the ENTJ up there for being good salespeople, simply because they know how to, in a more negative sense, manipulate people, to twist people to go the direction that they want them to go. They can be a forceful, dominant force that like makes you not be able to, well, not buy. So I think in ENTJ, like they'd also be really good salespeople and like kind of business people in general, also in kind of like the real estate world and all of that. That's where I would put them. Next up, ENFJs, I'm going to put them in, oh, this is hard. I want to put them in A tier, but they could potentially be S tier. Let's put them in A tier for now. ENFJs are also, they know how to manipulate people, get people to get what they want, can be very friendly, very personal, very in there. But usually they don't go into the sales game of things, but if they were, I could see them being very good at it, almost extraordinarily good at it. but if they have like a kind of level of conscious and whatever, they may not go as hard as the other ones that I've mentioned. They may care more about the person's well-being rather than trying to manipulate them out of money. But then there are people who are motivational speakers who sell their programs and all of that, and a lot of them can be ENFJs, and that's how they make their money, is by selling those programs. So ENFJ is kind of hard, but I'll put them in A tier for now. Even though I'm like, it's hard. Like they could, it is hard. It is hard. ENFP, I think I would put ENFP in B tier. I do not think they're as good as ENFJs, nor do I think they're as good as the ones up above. Yes, they can get you to sell something. Yes, they can be super personable. Yes, they can do all of that, but I think their distractiveness, the wanting to go on to like the next new thing, can cause them to slip out of the game rather quickly and not pursue it because the next new shiny object or an actual interesting thing that they want to go and do. But if they were put into the situation where they had to sell something, I can see them doing it. They know how to play the game. They know how to talk the talk. They know how to walk the walk if they absolutely must. But I do not see them as people who would necessarily willingly throw themselves into the sales game. Especially when there are far more interesting and fun things out there that they know they could do. So yeah, I'm going to put ENFPs in B tier because they don't have that same kind of salesy energy that the others potentially could have. Speaking of people who can manipulate you into getting something. Oh, but where would I put you? Where would I put you? ENTPs are also the type that it's really hard for me to figure out where they would be sales-wise. They could be either S or A tier. That's perfectly fine. It really depends on how motivated they are in trying to get you to buy the item. I think they'd be more A tier because at the end of the day, they might not actually really care. They're just either doing it for a job or doing it to see what the results will be or doing it as a kind of experiment or doing it because it seemed neat at the time and they wanted to try it and found out, oh, hey, they're quite good at getting people and debating people and arguing with people. Maybe not arguing with people, but like conning. Would conning be the right word? That sounds a bit negative. Let's just stick with manipulating people into getting where they'd like them to be and what to buy. But much like the ENFP, it might not be the area that they like to stay in, and they might find an actual thing they want to do in the future. And this is just kind of a, let's see if I can do this. Oh, I can do this. Huh, neat. Oh, I can do this really well. Okay, that's pretty cool. Let's put this on a list of things I can do in the future if I want to come back to this. And let's move on to the next thing. That's kind of the feel I'm getting from the ENTP. So then we have, I'm going to put ESFJ also up here, simply because they are really good at networking. They're really good at getting people to buy things, especially if they're excited about it. It's like, oh, like for example, in afternoon tea, if they're like a housewife or a networking party or like a friends group, and they come in with the next new cool thing or the socially acceptable thing or the thing everybody in society is going crazy over, and they come in with it. And it's like, have you heard of this new thing? Oh my goodness, let me tell you about it. It's like so amazing. It's such the rave. It is so much the rave, you guys. You guys have to check this thing out. So like, because they'll make it personal. They'll target it with the group. They'll judge the group dynamic, see how it's kind of going, test the waters. Oh, they're kind of responding. They're kind of digging it. Okay, let's go a little bit further. And you know, if the people generally like ESFJs, which many people apparently really like ESFJs. Yeah, they can very easily get their entire friends group, family group, anybody in a kind of personal relationship area that they have, their huge even network of friends and family that they may have, to get said item. I think these are more of the people who may not target strangers, but target more people that they know to buy an item. And that's why I'm putting them in A tier, is because they're only going to be targeting the people in their kind of friend and family group, rather than people in a maybe strangers. Not that they won't go after strangers, especially if strangers are brought to like the party and they're kind of brought to the group and all that, and they make friends with them. Usually it happens after they make friends with them, or they're going to try and make friends with them. Now, I could be completely wrong, but that's just in my head. That's just kind of how I see it. Now we have the introverts, and this is going to be interesting. INTJs, I'm going to put in A tier. INTJs are not going to be maybe as outgoing as the extroverted counterparts. They're not going to be as out there as the extroverted counterparts, or like as in person to person as the extroverted counterparts. I should point that out. But INTJs could very easily excel at online selling, online flipping, online marketing, online sales, online anything. And they could be playing the long game too at that, to where you do not suspect it at first, and then boom, all of a sudden 10 years down the road, you're like, how did they, what, huh, what, when, how, what? And the INTJ's master plan has come into fruition. They've done their deed, and they have succeeded in doing whatever sales thing they have done. Usually, I would see it being online. But if that was an area that they wanted to go into, I think they would be masters of it, especially with a long-term plan. I am going to then put INTP into the C tier. INTPs could excel at it. They're probably going to find the fastest and most efficient way to do it in the most laziest way. Most energy conserving way to do it. They are going to be looking at it as more of a test to see whether or not they can, and if they can, well, okay. Or they might be like the INTJ and try the online thing and set up the online courses and things and whatever. But most of the time, they aren't going to be as pushy about it as the other types. They're not going to try as hard as the other types. They're going to see if they can efficiently make it work, and how they can make it work, and the patterns required and the systems required to make it work. But other than that, they aren't going to force it upon you like the others might, whether you know it or not. So that's why I'm putting them into C tier. After that, I'm going to put ISFJ. I am going to put ISFJ in the B tier. They are also networking type people. They may not have as large of a friend group as the ESFJ or ENFJ, or even to some extent maybe an INFJ. And they could have a larger friend group than an INFJ. It depends on the person. But they're more of the quiet type, the more supporting type, the more in the background type. They may not come out and say it, but you'll definitely notice them with the new thing that they're promoting, because they'll do it in such a way that you would notice, and then you would come and ask them about it, and then they go and tell you about it. But then because you like them, you're going to go and end up getting the product, and then the ISFJ makes the money that way. I don't think they'd be like as pushy like as the S or A tiers, but they'll definitely make it known in some kind of perhaps subtle way, or not so subtle way, in perhaps the nicest way possible, so as to get it going there. So that's why I'd put them in B tier, because they're not as forceful, but they're still going to show you what they got and what they're listening to and what's kind of going on around the group and around the current trends. And that's why I think they'd be in B tier. ISTP, also B tier. They may not tell you about it, they may not show you it, but if they're a craftsman, their work speaks for itself. That's how they're going to be selling, through whatever it is that they're making. Sometimes it could be via online or making an online friend. They may not even go and sell it themselves. They may make something and somebody may see it as neat and be like, oh, hey, you could sell that. And you'd be like, huh, okay, cool, let's go and sell it. And then they would end up, selling the product and like starting the thing. I think a lot of the people who work in wood or metal or carpentry or like anything that revolves around like engineering or mechanics or tools or just general craftsmanship, and if they're like really good at it, like even wood carvings and all of that, or like architecture, basically all of that kind of stuff. When it comes to like making something, they may be silent about it, but their work speaks for itself, and then somebody else will come and want to buy it due to seeing that work, whether it's through the help of somebody or not through the help of somebody. ISFP, much the same way as the ISTP. Their work speaks for themselves, the art speaks for itself, the books, poetry, whatever it is they're doing, the master of their crafts, it speaks for themselves, and they are going to then be able to sell it via that means. And sometimes it even helps marketing, and if they've been doing it for a long enough time and people start to notice, especially if it's really good, the work sells itself, essentially. ISTJ, I'm going to put them in. I do not see these people as high sales type people. I think they might work under a salesperson. I think they might want to do the accounting for the salespeople, but I do not think they want to have the energy or the time or the means to try and sell something to other people, especially when they can work behind the scenes, checking the books, doing what they feel comfortable, talking to strangers and like going on to like a bunch of networking type of areas. It's not really their thing from what I've seen. Yeah, they'll do it, but usually because like they can do it and have the ability to do it and could, if they had to do it, they can, which is why they're kind of like C tier, but typically you're not going to see them in the higher tiers. Now it's for the last two, INFJ and INFP. Now this is a bit hard. Let's do INFP because that one's easy. INFJ is a little bit hard, but INFP is easy. INFP is F tier. As a person who has tried out sales myself, as an INFP myself, this area, not our greatest area. Even not only are INFPs tending to be invisible to most people and, tend to have high standards and tend to look down at themselves if they can't do it right immediately and tend to be self-depreciating and have a hard time with it. INFPs, I struggle with it. I see other INFPs struggle with it. Sales is like one of those weird things. If we can pass it up to another person who wants to take what we've done over, we will immediately do it without question, without hesitation. Here you go. Please go sell this thing. Oh, yes, please. Thank you. I don't have to worry about it. Okay, that's stress off of my back. And it's like, even like online things, it's very easy for an INFP to go unnoticed because we don't like promoting ourselves. And because we don't like promoting ourselves all that much, that is why we tend to be left behind where the others aren't left behind, because the others will to some extent promote what it is that they have done in some way, shape, or form. An ISTP will go up to you and be like, hey, I can fix that for you, or I can make that for you. An ISFP will be like, hey, check out this beautiful art. An INFP will be like, I made some more. Okay, you don't have to. Okay, bye. We're very hesitant to draw that attention on what we have created. Now, some can go and like be really good at it, but in general, we want people to notice what we do. But the contradiction here is that we're really bad at making people notice what we do. So F tier for INFP. Last but not least, the INFJ. I literally do not know where to put this. I'm going to give my best bet, and if it's not accurate, don't hate me. INFJs, from my experience, they're either really good at it or they're really bad at it. But no, I know so many INFJs who have like sold so many courses and things. I can't put them in D tier. I have to put them in A tier. INFJs are like ENFJs. They're really freaking good at selling their stuff and getting their courses out there. And even like the INTJ, they have a 10-year plan. They know what they're doing. They know how to get it out there. They know like the groups of people to advocate to go and buy their product. They know how to move the crowd to get what it is. Like, they're actually really good at it. I can't put them in D tier. Now some of them would be D tier, but like I have a hard time figuring out where else to put them because I think they are really good at it, but it's in the more self-help area. It's more in the helping people grow area. It's more in the let's make society a better place area. So that's why I would put INFJs on the A tier, because they can get people behind that cause, and they do have a bit of that ENFJ temperament, because it's often the second function that people see. So yeah, that's my tier list for who's the best seller, and I will see you guys next time. Bye-bye.